Hello everyone, in this video we will be covering the project pitch for the project which I will be covering in the machine learning class. So I'll be working on fraud detection project where uh, the problem statement is that can can you detect fraud from customer transactions? So in this PPT we will be covering a bit of background, then the problem statement, objectives, challenges, the task, ML pipeline, data exploration, and how pre-processing would be done, and in the end, the references. So for the background part, we have multiple cases where in say from a credit card company, somebody gets a call and they ask that are you the one who is doing a transaction, because the credit card company discovered some 8 or 9 transactions in very short span of time and with huge amounts, and most of the times the customer is not the person doing those. So that is happening a lot nowadays in every part of the globe, and companies are trying to detect those frauds as soon as possible. And this area is having still a lot of improvements possible. The other aspect of the same can happen wherein a person, say for instance, tries to make a transaction, but the company thinks that it is fraud, and it declines the transaction, which can make the customer upset. So both of the things are having their own aspect, and companies are trying to accurately uh, detect the fraud. And we will be also trying to replicate a similar scenario wherein we would want to detect the fraud as accurately as possible. So this is a Kaggle competition which was given by IEEE Computational Intelligence Society, and also known as IEEE CIS. And the data has been provided by Versa. So again, as I briefed earlier, this problem is persistent in current scenario, and addressing for the case where credit cards are used for fraudulent transaction is very important. Uh, for some of the statistics which I read on Wikipedia have been posted here. As in 2022, PricewaterhouseCoopers reported that fraud has impacted 46% of all the businesses in the world. And from past few years, wherein most of the people are working from home, has also a relation with the fraudulent transaction, as suggested by the data from FTC, which is Federal Trade Commission, which says that customer reported fraud for approximately $5.8 billion in 2021, which is an increase of 70% from the previous year, which is a huge number. So this increase in the percentage makes this problem statement important. Then the majority of these scams were imposter scams and online shopping frauds. And detecting these frauds accurately would result in reduction in losses, obviously, which will be in billions of dollars, and obviously which could help customer help with customer satisfaction. Now, the objectives for this project would be to predict the probability of a transaction being fraudulent. So whether we'll be trying to find whether the transaction is actually fraudulent or not. Then we'll be performing the data cleaning and pre-processing from the dataset which is provided by Vesta. The dataset is a real-world e-commerce transaction, and we'll be doing exploration and analysis on the same. Then the another objective would be to choose one of the machine learning models out of many, and we'll be working on large data set with the same. And then the next objective would be to analyze different machine learning solutions and approaches, and to compare them, that which one can be most effective, and then we'll be testing our performance as we do in most of the projects. Another important aspect while we do our project is the challenges. So one of the key challenge which we can see that the fraud pattern changes over time. So previously we had different type of frauds wherein somebody would call and say that your credit card would be blocked, so please share the details. Then world got to know that, oh, this type of fraud is happening very often, and people understood that, oh, we don't need to give credit card over phone call. So the fraudsters are also intelligent, unfortunately, and they are trying to find newer ways to fool the system. So that is one of the challenge uh, in detecting as well. Then the another challenge would be the class imbalance. Again, we are having in hundreds of thousands, we are having a transaction uh, every day, or for that matter every hour. But the fraudulent transactions would be very less in those hundreds of thousands of transactions. So detecting those fraudulent transactions out of those many is giving us an imbalance. So this is also one of the challenge. And the other challenge would be feature generation, because feature generation for this type of fraudulent transaction detection problem can be time consuming, and it can slow down the detection process. Moving on to the next slide, the task which we would be doing. So the data collection task is done by Vesta. So we will be using their retail data. Then our task will start from the data preparation, wherein we will be cleaning, pre-processing, and analyzing the data, which would involve things like pre-processing for the missing and null values, then feature creation, extraction, and selection. Then another important task would be the ML modeling, and appropriate ML models will be taken as a base, and then we will be trying to improve upon accuracies. And in the end, the task would be to evaluate through various metrics and testing our model. So this is a very high level pipeline. We'll be getting the raw data which we fortunately have. We'll be doing the data preparation, then we'll be training the data. We'll be training the models through training data, and we'll be testing, and in the end, the fraud detection results would be our main goal. The another slide that I have here is for the data exploration. So how can we explore? So for that aspect, the most important part is the understanding of the data. So we'll need a strong understanding beforehand. Then we also would need to do the data visualization using graphs, and another important part would be to extract the important variables. So feature selection based on the will be based on the predictor variables, and that we would try to fetch out. Then also we need to we will also need to understand the relationships between the variables. So in this we also need to find which variables are not relatable. That is also one of the important aspect. And as most of the data sets they have multiple null values, so we will be doing the pre-processing on that in the data exploration part, and we will decide how to handle the null values. And outlier detection is another important aspect in this area, and we will be also finding the correlation among features and target variable. Now in the data preprocessing step, we have data reduction. Similar connected to our previous slide, in this section, we'll be trying to remove the features that have like many more missing data than present. So we would consider removing those, and we would also consider removing two skewed features, and also if we have like highly correlated features wherein two variables are having connected data throughout the data set, or for the majority part of the data set, we would consider removing one of those. Then another approach we can consider is one-hot encoding, where we will convert the categorical variables and perform binarization on them. Then data imputation. In this part, we will fill the columns which have some missing data. So yeah, if we have some missing numerical data, then and we want to consider the numerical output of those, we can consider filling up using the mean of present data or median, uh, depending on the variable we are considering. And another very important pre-processing step would consider feature engineering, where we will be creating some new features by combining two or more columns. Moving on to the next slide, we have references here. So this is a Kaggle competition IEEE fraud detection. So this is the reference. So I think overall this is our target which we will be doing, and we will be targeting a good accuracy over our project. Thank you.